2, 1.
All right, welcome to the post E3 hangover edition of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I and we did not put a lot of play time into this week's games, mainly because we were kind of busy with the all-consuming um, event that was E3. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm kind of surprised at how much time I did put in. Now, obligations are obligations. Now, so if our opinions on this week's featured reviews are a bit more limited than usual, that'd be the reason. I mean, now, you only have a week to, basically play these games, and it's been busy. It's been very busy. So first up, we have a game called Drifting Lands. It's from a French developer called Alchemy, with a very odd spelling, Alkemi. Now, I was trying to figure out how to pronounce that at first, but then I saw their logo and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a play on alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
No, and Drifting Lands is well, they describe it as a hybrid of classical horizontal shoot 'em ups with a lot of strong gameplay elements coming straight from the action RPG genre. A description I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, it's
Well, I
definitely
think
a
it's more that a lot of the stuff that they're calling as coming from action RPG is stuff that is already in some shooters.
yeah. I'm like, I. It's not so much the action RPG. Like, it's not. It's not the hybrid thing. It's the genre thing. Because honestly, it felt more like a combination of a shmup and a space sim. Because
Mm-hmm.
um, one of the selling points here is you're doing a lot of upgrading. You know, you're doing a lot of tweaking. You're gathering up a lot of random parts in gameplay, or you're buying them. You know, I'll be honest. The bulk of your time is probably going to be spent tinkering and analyzing the stats. Does this particular thing do more than this? Does this unique part, give you more benefits than this? That kind of thing. Because let's see. I'll I found the shoot 'em up portion to be, for lack of a better term, lacking. Like,
Was it easy?
um, it can be. Like, I never really felt all that challenged, um, even on higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, granted, I was like only on the first grade. I don't know how hard this game gets. Like, it
Okay.
looks like it's a pretty lengthy game, but the problem is like the levels themselves. Now, you're going to be playing the same set of levels over and over again,
Just environments or including enemy patterns and stuff?
including enemy patterns. They'll
Okay,
get
that's...
harder. They'll get more bullet spongy, but you'll start to see the same enemy placements. You'll start to see the same, uh, you know, down to the letter. Like, it's not even randomized. It's like it's the exact same things over and over, and this is in different missions. And this is just ultimately what killed the game for me. because
Okay.
it felt like, I wasn't making any progress, even though I was actually making progress.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets repetitive very quickly. Uh, and it's a shame because visually the game looks amazing. Like,
Yeah, the images and the videos that they have, even just in Steam, look pretty nice.
yeah, it's like, you know, especially I suppose like it's also a Unity game. But I didn't see any of the usual problems with Unity. I'm not sure if that was because of my laptop or um, if that was optimization.
Hmm.
Like I have a pretty powerful laptop now, so the problems I used to have with Unity, not so much. You know, like I said, and the gameplay itself is perfectly functional. Like, but I think that that's all it goes towards. Like, it's functional. You know, like for example, if you're looking for bullet hell, this ain't your game.
It's more
Um,
like bullet, slightly annoying building.
Something like that. But it's also the gameplay's not centered around lives. It's centered around shields and health bars. So
Hmm.
you know, so it's this is a type. This is a shmup style. It's not seen all that often, but it is viable. Like Sylphid on the Sega CD did this, where instead of lives, you have an energy bar, and when you lose your energy, you lose your health, you die. Now there are two ways you can play. Like, there are essentially two modes. There's easy mode and normal mode, but there's also a not so hidden hardcore mode, like which admittedly I didn't play, but I was more interested
Any
in
idea
playing.
how the versions work differently?
I'm not sure how easy mode worked, but how hardcore mode works is one of the skills. You're given a set of special skills at the outset. Um, one of them is automatic retreat. If you drop, if you lose all your health, you'll automatically be recalled.
So you don't game over, you just start over the stage?
Yes. If you take that off, they say you're essentially playing in hardcore mode. It's like,
Ah.
you know, if you lose your ship, you lose your ship in this mode.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that results in a complete game over or if you have to buy a new ship, because once again, I didn't try that out. This is kind of the limits of the time, you know.
Hmm.
But I would almost recommend that just to get some actual challenge out of this game.
How many times can you get hit before your energy bar runs out?
Depends on the ship. Like, you get three kinds of ships. You get
Ah.
the agile one, you get the normal one, and then you get the tank. I played the tank.
Ah.
The tank can take a lot of hits, but is pretty slow.
Which could be a problem in some scenarios, but.
Yeah, like um,
And they all have the same kind of weapon system that's all customizable the same way, or?
yeah, in the sense that all the parts, I didn't get to the point where I could switch or I could upgrade ships, and I didn't really feel like switching what I had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you get to pick your ship, but you can change ships at any time, provided you have the money. Like, your stock ships are only going to set you back about 1,000 credits or whatever unit of money they use here.
Hmm.
Right. Um, but like I said, the real meat is is adjusting all your parts. Your weapon systems, which come in a lot of types. I like some
And where
more
do you
than
get those
others.
from? Do you buy them between stages, or do
You
you
get you
craft
you
them,
get
or?
both. You get them from stages, or you can buy them.
Okay.
And you can also get blueprints that you can sell and unlock. Although I didn't quite figure out how that worked. Well, although after a certain point, I was relying more on the stuff I found because the shop didn't have the the upgrades I needed.
Right.
At a certain point, which is a pretty common thing. You know, and your upgrades, there are 4 levels. There are common, uncommon, rare, and unique. And there is a special attributes with rare and unique items. That is to say, they will bless you with a whole bunch of benefits to your stats,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll also have a weakness.
Ah.
Like the cannons I'm using had a whole bunch of boosts to like my shields and weapons and all that kind of thing. But in exchange for that, it reduced my loot level by 1, which your loot level is like the level of like level 10 loot and level 9 loot, that kind of thing. Although I'll note that just because it's a higher level doesn't mean it's necessarily more beneficial to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you do have to pay attention to your to what each piece, like the art, especially since like certain pieces can boost your like structure, armor, which is or your strength or something like that. Navigation was your power. I forget how exactly the 3 stats translated.
Right.
You know, but like you needed a certain strength level to equip certain weapons, and if you didn't have that, that kind it's fairly typical upgrade stuff. Like if you've played a sim game, you're going to be familiar with this, and this isn't a new concept for shmups either. Like you can trace it all the way back to UN Squadron that did this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only kind of upgrades you get. You can upgrade your special skills. Now, they give you you can hold up to 4 of them, and they range from like a bullet shield, a dash, various melee weapons. I definitely recommend having a melee weapon of some kind, because one of the frustrations I had was all your lasers are forward facing.
Yeah, that's an issue in a lot of shooters, actually.
Yeah, I'm like, but here it's definitely a lot more intentional. Like you've got enemies that come from behind, but you do have a weapon that will take care of that. But it's not your gun; it's your melee weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be like the beam saber or the fire ring, which is a favorite of mine.
Are they aimable, or do they just appear? Each weapon attacks in a certain direction.
The latter, from what I found. I mainly used the fire ring, which encircled my ship, and like I preferred the spherical ones because that would literally cover all the bases. Tried the beam saber once. I didn't like it because I couldn't aim.
Mm-hmm.
Like in addition to those 4 skills, you have up to 2 what they call auto skills, passive skills. One of which is that auto retreat. The other skill I had on constantly was the kill streak skill. Yes, that's an actual skill in this game instead of just part of normal gameplay. I found it a bit odd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's see. So the story of Drifting Lands is one of the frontier. you play a nameless recruit, a Afghan cop, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. A a character that is ageless, sexless, genderless, all that stuff. It's basically whatever you want them to be.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
know.
It looks like the setting is like Earth got blown up and now people are living in spaceships and Earth that's or chunks of land that are in the
Some
area.
Yeah, something like that. It's like I said, it's a real Wild West frontier, only with sci-fi and floating continents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, it's kind of Firefly-y. That's a word. Like, maybe a bit more earthbound. Like, there's a lot of you are a smuggler who hooks up with other smugglers and are battling huge mega corporations and that kind of deal. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't paying that much attention to the story because, well, it's a shmup. You know, uh, uh, how much do you pay attention to shmup stories?
Something something Proco and Tyat, something the Tyrant Belser.
Yeah.
I played Darius Twin a lot on the Super Nintendo. It was one of fairly few games I had.
Yeah. I mean, it's there, it's serviceable, but I didn't feel all that engaged by it.
Yeah, usually we play Schnuppets for the gameplay.
Yeah. And your other big purpose for doing missions is, well, earning money. I'm like,
Which is important because without money you can't buy things.
yeah. And so, like, one of the big like beginning story things is the people you're working for take a large cut of your pay. Like, you get 10% of everything. So if you like earn 10,000 units, credits, or whatever, you'll only get 1,000 out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Played a bunch of missions that said for a bunch for more than 10%, but that didn't lead anywhere. At least that didn't lead to more money, as I thought it would. Uh, let's see. I said, I do kind of wish I had more time to play this, but on the other hand, you know, I
You don't know if you'd play it much more.
no, it's just like you know, I've, it's like I found kind of the core of the game, just to be so vapid and empty. Like, their priorities seem to be more the RPG sim upgrade elements rather than the actual, shooting part of the shmup. You know?
Fair
Um,
enough.
yeah, the music was pretty good, although I'm struggling to remember any of it. Um, and it's worth noting you can purchase the soundtrack. In
It
fact, you can
even
get,
has an edition that has the soundtrack built
yes,
into it.
yeah, and the soundtrack alone goes for $6, which is a fair enough price. Like, and the game itself is going for 18.99. It's on. Well, actually, it's going for $15. I think it's on sale, or yeah, I think it's on sale right now. But its normal price is 18.99. Soundtrack edition $25. I'm like, that's a bit much. Um, if I were to recommend
Maybe not a $10 soundtrack.
no, I mean the game itself. The soundtrack
Oh.
is fine. Like, honestly, a Western, well, sort of a Western developed shmup. Well, this is kind of an odd co-creation thing but I would recommend the game Sign Moria over Drifting Lands. Sign Moria is a similarly styled horizontal shooter with Western development leanings. Although this is done in tandem with Grasshopper Manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, and and believe me, I wanted to like Drifting Lands more, but I just couldn't get over how short the levels were, how easy everything was, and how recycled the content got. Now, I really enjoyed the upgrade system. Spent a lot of time with that, but the levels themselves are pretty basic.
Yeah, shooters that make you run the same level over and over again on the same run that's kind of a hard sell.
Well, it's not even the same run. It's different missions, but it's the same levels.
I mean, the same like playthrough of the game.
Yeah, and I think and that's how they get such a long shmup, because shmups aren't known for their length. They're
Right. Yeah. Usually you got like maybe 10, and there can be a lot of different stages, but a playthrough is usually like 10 stages, and none of the stages are that long.
right. And the reason why a shmup can get away with, like, say 5 stages, like Ikaruga, for example, is because shmups tend to be hard, tend to be really fucking hard. That's one of the reasons why people play shmups.
Yeah, I only got to play the demo for this, but like the first couple stages, there's not really, the enemies barely shoot at you.
Yeah, that does improve with more difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like,
oh no, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's just the very beginning of the game. But
that's kind of a hard sell to a shmup audience, I think.
Mm-hmm. Usually, if they don't shoot at you, usually they'll have at least somewhat challenging patterns.
Yeah.
Fairly early.
Penny Fan, you've been playing the demo, right?
Yeah.
What's your impression of it?
I don't really like the controls, like how you have to hold down right trigger to fire, and then have to remember to use the face buttons for your other moves.
It's a little weird, I guess, because they do that because you have potentially 4 skills that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still kind of weird.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sure if I had more time with it, I could probably get used to it and it wouldn't, weird me out as much.
You'll get used to it, but yeah, it is kind of odd for a shmup. But controls I didn't have much of a problem with.
Yeah, they're functional. It's not like they're really clunky. They're just a little unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, that's the word I really come back to time and again with Drifting Lands here. Functional. Like, most of the game here isn't that, it's functional. But I'm like, it's hard to recommend functional, when you have, even on the PC, you have quite the range of shooters.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could be here for another half an hour talking about shooters on the PC.
Yeah. I mean, start with the Toho series and work our way from there.
Yeah, no shit.
Now, I'll grant you that's a very different style than what Drifting Lands is going for here, especially since horizontal shooters are pretty rare in this day and age.
Yeah.
Which disappoints me, because I rather like horizontal shooters, but
I have fond memories of them. Vertical shooters have always seemed a little weird to me.
What do you mean I have to go up? Or down?
Yeah, it's more like the way of progress and stuff.
But the content is fine. It's the actual construction that I have a problem with.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be so thrilled at Gradius if it kept coming up with missions where it's like, okay, go back to level 1 and shoot at the volcano for 5 minutes to get ore.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, yeah. I think that's about all I have to say on the matter of Drifting Lands. It's a solid shmup hybrid, but you might want like if you're looking for like a pure shmup experience, this isn't the game.
Mhm.
Like, I probably recommend just about every other shooter on Steam.
Yeah, like we said,
over this.
Moria or Jamestown or
Well, okay, every other shooter with a good reputation. There are a
Yeah.
lot of really, really, really terrible, excessively terrible shooters.
I wasn't
Yeah.
done. Okay. Yeah, it's like
Uh-huh.
every other shooter that is good on the service. Obviously, a bad shooter is not recommended over this. Like, this game isn't bad. It's just its mechanics and its design and all that are all flat to accommodate the sim aspects here. Is it everything here is so okay? It's average by design.
Mhm.
And whether or not the upgrade system appeals to you is very subjective.
Yeah, and the upgrades seem fine. I'm just the way you describe the levels really bothers me for a shooter.
Well, I mean, it bothered me when I was playing it because I kept, I got deja vu really quickly. Like, yeah, I've been here. Like, this is a different mission, but I've been here. So, I'm not sure, more level content, more advanced stuff is unlocked at higher grades, but that's kind of another aspect of this game. You have to endure mediocrity to get to better areas. You know, that's not compelling game design.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I've never accepted the 20-hour and it gets good to be a valid excuse for a game kind of deal. Now, obviously, I'm not talking, you know, you know. Anyway, so that'll about do it for Drifting Lands. Be sure to tune in about a half an hour from now, wherein we cover Zombie Vikings.
Yes.
And until such time, I wish you good gaming.